Here goes nothing. And what in the name of Linus Torvalds? It says files encrypted. Also, we get an error message. I thought those only happen on Windows XP, right? Hello and welcome to the PC Security channel. Today we'll be taking a look at Linux ransomware. So we have a distro of Ubuntu over here. This is the latest version, I believe, 20.04 LTS. Now, some of you may think that Linux ransomware is an oxymoron. Those words don't go well together, but unfortunately they do. And ever since 2020, we've seen a growing trend where most made for Windows have been ported over to Linux, and attackers are becoming more and more platform agnostic as they focus on targeted attacks. So if you're attacking an organization, you're not interested in just hitting their Windows systems. You want to take out their Linux systems where necessary. And as you know, Linux dominates the server market. Now, if we take a look at Forbes, they mentioned this in November of 2020. This is when several variants like Ransom X were moving from Windows to Linux, but now that's far more widespread. So the sample we're going to take a look at today is Revil. As you know, the infamous ransomware that attacked an Apple supplier and many other IT firms. We've already made a video of it on Windows, but guess what? It runs natively on Linux as well. And I do not mean by with Wine or Windows emulation. There is a version of this that will run natively on Linux and absolutely wreck a Linux system. As you can see, we have the sample in our home folder. We're just going start terminal and run this as you do on Linux. So we'll go .-revil.elf. An ELF file on Linux is similar to an executable on Windows. They're not exactly the same. It's more like a DLL, I would say. But for the purposes of this video, this is the equivalent of double-clicking something or using run as on Windows. Here goes nothing. And what in the name of Linus Torvalds? It says files encrypted. Also, we get an error message. I thought those only happen on Windows XP, right? No, unfortunately, you get those on Ubuntu as well. Or on any system, really. Sorry, Ubuntu has experienced an internal error. Report this problem to the developers. Don't send. Leave me alone. But as you can see, we have a ransom note in the terminal that says how many files were encrypted. Apparently it's only 218, but that's because this is a VM. Could be a lot more if this was a real system. If we go into our files and take a look, as you can see, we've already got a README here. If we go into pictures, as you can see, all of our data is encrypted. If we open the README file, it says your files are encrypted and currently unavailable. You can check it. All files on the system have the extension NIXC. That was my best try at pronouncing that. By the way, everything is possible to recover, but you'll need to follow instructions. And it's the usual instructions, which includes going into the Tor browser, opening an Onion domain, and paying the ransom. I love how the top section says, welcome again. Like if you're a recurring victim, you're like, oh no, not again. But there you have it. That's ransomware executing on Linux natively. Now we're going to take a look at this threat in Intezer. A big thank you to them for sponsoring this video. Check them out at analyze.intezer.com. So as you can see, this sample is detected as Sodino Kibi, which is another name for Revil. Basically, it's the same ransomware family. And of course, Intezer have genetic analysis, so they're able to correlate the threat without the help of any detection engines. If we take a look at related samples, you can see there's quite a few of them. And what I want you to notice is the detections on VARSTotal. So this is the big problem with Linux ransomware. It is not very well detected like Windows ransomware. So we have only 7 detections for this sample, even though it's fairly old at this point. And you can also see some similar variants discovered in June, May, July, and all of them have very low detections. 7 out of 60, 2 out of 61, 5 out of 49, even though they're the same threat. And as you can see in Intezer, they have all the same genes. So it's pretty easy for Intezer, based on the gene technology, to pick up these as the same malware. If we take a look at the code, we can go through the assembly instructions, and there's some red flags here. These are the things that are probably typical of similar ransomware. If we look into capabilities, this is where we see most of the interesting stuff. So the only minor category this fulfills is obfuscated files or information, but if we look at the specifics, we can see that it's encoding data using base64, encrypting data, referencing a string, creating a process, and enumerating PE sections. So all of this correlates quite closely to ransomware capabilities. So one of the big takeaways from this video is definitely that if you're an organization and you're running a lot of Linux servers, watch out, because if you read a lot of comments online, you may be lulled into this false sense of security that you're on Linux and you cannot be hit by a ransomware attack. You absolutely can. And in fact, it's becoming more and more prevalent. So Revil has a Linux variant, so does DarkSide and a lot of modern ransomware. And if they've hacked into your Windows servers, they can probably deploy ransomware on your Linux servers as well. So make sure you protect all of them. Another thing I just want to mention for some people in the comments is that, unfortunately, cybersecurity is a platform agnostic problem, and the sooner we realize this, the better. Ransomware just uses a security mechanism called encryption. Encryption is used by everything: your smartphone, your web browser, every operating system, and all an attacker has to do to create ransomware is to use the encryption capability in some way where they are able to exclusively get the key without letting you have it. That's all it takes. So security is a platform agnostic problem. It's going to hit every operating system. Windows has always been the primary target of malware for a long time, and that's been for several reasons. One of the most important ones being that that is what was used by most naive and easy to hit users. But these days, things are different. Most malware is financial, and their main target is not necessarily the everyday user. They want to hit enterprises, they want to hit servers, and so they are going to target Linux a lot more. So make sure you have up-to-date backups, whether you're on Windows or Linux. Use good protection and stay up to date with all the latest cybersecurity information, because you don't want to be caught off guard. One of the worst feelings is when you get hit by an attack and then you realize, oh wait, this is widespread knowledge. How was I not prepared for this? So a little bit of research on a regular basis can save you a lot of trouble in the long run. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and share it if you found it helpful. It's important to spread the word because a lot of people, I think, will be surprised by this. A big thank you to our sponsors for this video, Intezer. Check out the Analyze platform. You can upload essentially any file over here and they're going to analyze it with their genetic matching technology and give you all of this insight. You can use it for free. You can also generate a quick YAR rule using their vaccine feature, and that's one of the ways you can detect up-and-coming threats. They also have Intezer Protect, which is basically an EDR for your cloud solution. They actually do a great job at detecting Linux threats, so check them out using the link in the description. Don't forget to subscribe to the PC Security channel for more cybersecurity content and stay up to date. This is Leo, and as always, stay informed, stay secure.